EA Originals.
So they are going to switch those servers off.
God damn them to hell! You bastards, you blew it all up!
Not yet, but it will happen.
God fucking damn them to hell!
You seem upset.
I am Couchgoop, and this is me for the second time talking about Wild Hearts. First visit was really, is this a Monster Hunter at home? But it's kind of its own thing. And get this, I went out the other day to look for a physical copy on the PlayStation 5. I'm from the UK, I live in the largest city. Went down to the financially terminally ill game, absolutely nothing. Even into the ever-decreasing store number of Argos. And then finally, the devil himself, CEX. None of them had it. Support for this game was scrapped 7 months after launch. That really blew my mind, and I think a lot of the fans of the title were also quite shocked at that. So that means that these servers may also have a similar sort of Damocles held over them, but we don't really know the timescale for that. They have just switched off the Xbox 360 store. I'm pretty sure that was something I haven't used in about 15 to 10 years. So there is a little bit of hope. Here's some good news. It's still on Game Pass. It runs on PC and Xbox. I think there's cross-platform play, but maybe not on the Sony side. So you can get hold of this if you're up for paying for the Game Pass subscription. And it's running healthy. I thought I'd test some of that online because the previous review was strictly on my own. I really wanted to see how it held up against Monster Hunter as a single player campaign like game, and it did surprisingly well. But as mentioned at the start of the video, and the developers are Amiga Force, I'm also playing loads of Rise of the Ronin, and I just cannot help but put these two games in parallel. They're so enjoyable, they've got such great themes and aesthetics and characters and fun in them that I wanted to make sure you guys get to look at this before the Switch is switched. One of the sort of larger noticeable differences in the gameplay model against the Monster Hunter series is that it has an allocated focus button. You click in your stick, a la Dark Souls, and you are locked on to that monster, meaning the camera follows you, it jumps over your head, you get cinematic scenes, it's very dramatic, but it does feel a bit handholdy, and that's always the attractive part of the Monster Hunter series with me, is it's a bit like Ghosts, where you've got to just make sure you're positioned correctly prior to activating that attack button. With this, half of that's done for you. Again, you can unhook, and you will need to if you've got to run away from the damn thing. It totally competes with the monster design and the weapon and armor design and forging. It's a little bit different with the weapon unlock system. It doesn't just give you straight 14 off the bat, and that's a mistake I made with my initial look at the game. Only really opened up a handful, didn't get to the gun, and now I've got the major sections open. There are huge differences in how the weapons work and how to sort of squeeze all of that efficiency out of them, particularly that starter weapon with its dual wielding capabilities that it flips in and out of. It's kind of like a longsword, but at the same time it does feel like the dual swords from the original Monster Hunters. By the way, I was just showing you some online footage there, and I was kicked halfway through that fight, but that was the only time, and most of my fights I went to look for people to fight the monster I was looking for next, but half the time it would be like, you're just going to have to host this one yourself, but I would at least have one person join, sometimes two, but it's not as busy as I'd like it to be. But then again, I am marooned over on PC. I did mention cross-platform at the beginning. The servers are dead. The servers are not dead. I'm being dramatic. I want your feedback on this. Are you still going to it? Have you never even played it? Did you play it up until EA announced they were going to pull the plug 7 minutes after it launching? I think that's a low blow. I think they should keep these servers on for at least another year. It's just a shame we're never going to see any more DLC. And there was a bit, I'm remembering some guest monsters. We are just looking at how the weapon tree works, how you have to build something from scratch if you want to go in a different elemental direction, or reverse a research arm. It's quite simple, but it's easy to sort of build on. It's layman. You get the idea about what you have to go after to get various elements added, and that goes for what's weak on the monster front. So kind of a similar system to the Monster Hunter series, but a tiny bit more nuance on some of the ailments and blights you can cause. So here we have some nice online play. My companion is using that rope / killer nunchuck setup, which I can only describe as liberating as hell. I managed to get hold of it later on. What an awesome weapon. But everything was pretty fine. You don't get to share health as far as I'm aware. You can put down your special thread machine to give people the sort of plant equivalent you'd see in Monster Hunter. You also have a revive system, meaning it isn't just straight back to the bonfire. You can get someone back on pitch, but you have to look for a window. That gives it a bit more longevity and tension when things go wrong. Another point of separation with the Monster Hunter series is these awesome thread / box building machines. And when I first saw these, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Where are the shurikens? Where are those giant spears with the little bits of cloth tied to the end? It won me over. The variety of different things you can start building in mid to late game. And by the way, I do not have the monocycle yet. That is one thing that's going to keep me going. Traversing is a real headache with this game. They've stuck on the point of building camps and bases being very valuable. So you do have to make quite an arduous trip to the monster, but that is all alleviated if you were to get the wooden mono wheel dang. I am getting very into the fireworks and using the helicopter to come down in, and you also get like a stagnant bomb that's got a delay on it. You've got to really line that damn thing up, and the fireworks are only handy against stuff that takes to the air. But remembering the button combination right in the middle of a fight is also quite interesting. Some of it's muscle memory, a lot of it isn't. Will I look at any of the DLC on this? Well, here was my ideal plan, to get that PlayStation 5 physical that came bundled in with everything. But that's not going to happen if the plug is pulled on this 7 months after launch. That DLC would just sit on the store. They won't bowl it all in. That only really happens if a game does very well and you get like a Game of the Year edition. I suppose my point with all this is, if you're a Monster Hunter fan, Josh, you're going to completely love this game. And if you liked Nier or even Rise of the Ronin, you're going to be quite familiar with what it's asking of you on a control input level and how a lot of the UI, NPCs, and even loot structure works. God Eater just doesn't do it for me. I think Wilds is my favourite MH clone. I want some feedback on that outlandish statement in the comments also. The expression on borrowed time doesn't just apply to Wild Hearts, unfortunately. I've hit a few obstacles with the channel and editing software. My renewal has got some problems on it and I've got to relearn another piece of software. I'm very much old dog, new tricks when it comes to digital stuff. So it's going to take me a while, expect delays. I just apologise profusely. I will be coming back with more content. There just may be a bit of a dry patch in the next couple of weeks. Patreons, I will keep you updated almost daily. I have been Coach Coop. I will of course see you down there.